Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking with Teri. And I am so excited to be sharing with you our guest today, Guildner. She believes women's voices matter. She's a connector, a storyteller, and a business coach for women. Cammie's entrepreneurial journey was sparked by a breath of a horse over a decade ago. I can't wait to hear more about this. This magical epiphany moment led Cammie to discover the purpose of leading change maker women to give voice to the most important messages and create a ripple effect of worldly impact. She's also the founder of Extraordinary Women Radio, a podcast featuring wildly successful women making an impact on the world. And she's also just recently, which is so exciting, was named the 2020 25 most powerful women in business list by the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. So without further ado, welcome, Cammie.
Oh, Teri, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here with you, and congratulations on your new podcast. And I'm just so glad to know you.
Yeah, I know. It's been great to get to know you over the last couple of years
Yes.
through our networking connections. And it's just great to see other women doing powerful things. And I think we so need that right now. Right?
Oh, we do, right? I mean, it's just such a year for women to just step into their gifts of who they are.
Yes. Okay, so for those that do not know you, share a little bit about how you came on this journey. Like, how did you end up here today?
Yeah. So I was in the corporate world for 25 years. I was a VP of marketing and branding when I left the corporate world 12 years ago. I always say my first gift was I got laid off. And my second gift, it was 2008 when there was not a lot of other VP of marketing jobs around. So first, those were gifts that had me transition from where I was to a new space. I would have not have taken the leap myself without having that. And so that gift of kind of getting pushed out the door and then having space to slow down and to listen to that inner wisdom and figure out, really start, what am I meant to be doing? And I kept thinking I was going to go back to the corporate world. And I was actually on a phone call one day with my coach and I was in tears and I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm meant to be doing right now. I don't want that job I just interviewed for, but I don't know what the heck I'm meant to be doing. And so she suggested to me that day to go out and breathe my horse's breath. And I was like,
what?
Okay.
Breathe
I've been
your
a horse
horse's
person.
breath.
Right. I've been a horse person my whole life. I'll take you up on that, but that's a little strange of a request, right? So there I went. It was a snowy Colorado day, and I trudged out through the snow, and I got out there, and I was breathing back and forth with her, and there was this moment where it just suddenly kind of clicked for me. It's like, I've been doing work, right? I mean, I've been doing the work. I've been digging deep into, what did my heart want? And I hadn't seen the vision of it until that point. And it was in that moment, it was like, I'm not supposed to go back to the corporate world. I'm supposed to do something different. And that's when I actually became an equine guided coach.
So what was that moment? I mean, was it an insight, an awareness, a download?
A vision. Yeah, it was like a download vision kind of,
Okay.
It was like, you can be doing something different. And it wasn't like I got those words. It was more of like a click, right? Like this click that happened for me that here's the idea. What if you were doing this? And it wasn't even a what if you're doing this. It was, you're meant to do something different here. You're
Yeah.
meant to.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to this woman that had been an equine guided coach. And there was this like, duh, I've been a horse person my whole life. I've always liked the people side of my work. I mean, even when I was in the, when I was a VP of marketing and branding, I loved my teams, right? I mean, that was what I loved to play in, was the teams and the community. And so there was so much of that was guiding me to doing something different. And I'd had people dropping ideas to me to go start my own business. And I was like, I'm an executive. I'm not an entrepreneur. And thank goodness I kept listening. I mean, finally, there was that moment that switched it, because I love what I get to do today. I mean, I love being an entrepreneur. I love helping the women in my communities. The communities that I've built are really incredible to me. And I feel very fortunate to get to do the work that I do.
Yeah. Who knew a horse process? Now, I don't, and I'm curious. So I'm not a horse person. I actually had a very traumatic experience with a horse when I was young, and I was terrified of it, of them. Right. And then actually the story was, I was growing up and we had this land, and there was a guy out there training this horse, breaking the horse, I suppose is what you call it. And in this open space, well, I was so young, I was running across, and it was shorter to go straight forward, right? Instead of going around the space. And I start trudging for this horse, and this horse flares up. And when you're like 5 or 6, this horse feels like huge. An absolute giant. I mean, it's a giant,
well, they are.
And so it was just, I had this fear of it. And then one time we went on a girls trip, and everyone was like, okay, tomorrow morning riding horses. And I'm like, oh, so I had to go and do all this energy clearing for myself. And then the next day I was like, okay, I'm on. And it was fantastic. But so is that something that that's, I don't know, customary, or is that like,
yeah, so
what gave her the idea to have you go do that? Because I guess epiphany.
She was a coach. She was a coach working with horses. So she had started doing work with horses, and so that was what drew me to her to begin with, right? Yeah. And because I had been a horse person my whole life, and so she had been doing and been trained in that work.
That type
and
of work.
When I ended up going to Northern California to do a month long, I went out there and lived on a ranch for a month, and became an equine guided coach. And it's really what took me into the realm of coaching just in general, right? I mean, I think that whole world of coaching, I wasn't really ready to just bridge that gap, right? Of what I was going to be doing, but it was the horse part of it that really took me there. And frankly, the horse part of it that really tapped me into my own spirituality. And so when you start talking about, what do horses bring to this? Horses have this ability to, it's like when we get in nature, right? When we get in nature, it's like, we're going, we have all this stuff that we're doing. And when we get into nature, things start to feel lighter, right? We start to see things through a different lens. And the horses do that. And they even take that one step further, because they actually are very sentient beings, right? They can feel the energy of where we're at. And, so if we're in a place that's feeling stuck, they can feel that. Or if we're in a fearful place, they can feel that. Yeah. And they start to mirror the energies that we've got going on and help us break through to, I just came out of a weekend long retreat with my clients with the horses, and there's just so much magic that happens there. Yeah. And it's funny because people these are my mastermind clients and my entrepreneurial mastermind clients that are here. They come here, they spend this weekend with the horses. I've been working with them for a year, and some of them more than a year. And the experience of what happens with the horses is actually like the deepest work that we get to do together. They've been learning branding and marketing and, how do they make the right packaging and pricing, but this is a place where they actually break through things that, might be limiting beliefs. They might be things that are kind of holding them back and from really stepping into what their calling is. And it's like the breakthroughs that happen with the horses are really powerful.
I love that. I love that because we've had this conversation before about the transformational journey, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And your transformational journey was having that awareness and that download, if you will, to tap into something that you knew. 'Cause, I mean, you weren't happy. Let's be real.
Right.
Let's be real.
Right.
You weren't happy at all. And then you had this transformation, this awareness that said, okay, nope, I'm not supposed to be doing this, right?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
doing something else, even though you didn't even see yourself as an entrepreneur, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And there's, I think the element, I think what's important about that is we're always in that cycle of growth, right? I mean, it's like,
Mhm.
that was then, and it's like we go into that next stretch of evolution of who we are and that growth of who we are. We're in a whole new set of it, right? And then we do it again and we do it again. And it's always a different, and we get better at it the more we practice it.
Right.
And it's that, this is part of life, right? It's like we're journeying through life, and there's always transformation there for us.
Yeah. So you've gone through this transformational process, you're into entrepreneur, and now you're helping other women
Mm-hmm.
build and, really, I feel like capture their voice and really, get themselves out there in a way that they can be seen. Whatever gifts they bring to the table is really packaging that in a way for them to be seen. What's next for you?
My business is just, I'm getting to work with so many amazing change makers. And I think that's the thing for me. It's like, I am in this space where my business is, I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing. Right. It's like, and the women that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis, they're going out and doing big things. I just got off my one of my mastermind calls just right before this, and it's like they were all doing their celebrations and what they were accomplishing right now, which is making me feel so excited. And so when I think about what's next for me, I just want to keep doing this work and letting more people get the experience of what it really truly means to step into this brand of who you are, this vision of who you are, build your impact in the world, and step out and create that ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's, and I'm able to do that in my mastermind group. I'm able to do it with my podcast. I get to tell people stories, so it's all the right pieces for me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And, I think you were gifted with that awareness, right? And I think sometimes when we're on this transformational journey, we are resistant to it.
Oh, totally. Right.
And so what would be maybe a tip or a tool or a strategy of something that you can share with the listeners as far as how you transformed, that darkness, that heaviness into your greatest light?
Oh, and I think that's so true. I mean, so when we start to stretch into places that aren't where we're comfortable in, we get all kinds of little games that happen for us. I mean, we get our mindset happening. We have stuff show up in our bodies. It's like, oh, I'm not going there. So I think my best tip around this is one, to really start to recognize when we get that inner critic showing up, when we get the fear show up. And at the same time, also learn to really do the practices, and I call them R factor practices. So it's how we resonate. That energy of how we resonate in the world is the thing I love to jam on and really kind of dig into this. And R factor consists of 4 pieces. So one is our mindset. What's that little voice that's happening all the time, all day long? Right? What are the stories that come back over and over again? That if they're good, strong, positive stories, that's great. If they're not so positive, it's like work on shifting those, right? So the mindset component of it. The second piece is our bodies, and that means just showing up in our best light of our bodies. And that means taking care of our bodies by eating the right nutrition. It means moving our bodies. It means just really paying attention to our energetic body. So that our body is a second part of that. The third part of that is spirit, and spirit, however you spirit, right? And everybody spirits differently, and honor that. That's where you find your purpose. That's where you find that North Star that keeps you on track in your business. And then the fourth part of that is community. be in community that lifts you up. So those 4 components make up your R factor and how we resonate. And if we look at, and it's really fun, I just created this new little diagram that you can track your daily R factor elements. So how are you making time for, did I make time this morning for mindset? Did I make time to move my body today? Did I make time for spirit? Did I make time to be in community? And we're probably not going to go through an entire month of hitting all 4 of those every single day, right?
Right.
Because I don't.
Right.
I have the best intentions, but I don't.
Right.
But when I start to look at it from that perspective on a daily basis, I start to get better at making sure that I make that space.
Yeah.
And when I start to do that on a daily basis, I find my business grows much more quickly. The things I'm in the flow, I'm not in the push. I am listening to the wisdom that comes to me from,
Yeah.
whatever you call that, because we get these downloads, right? We get these
Right.
connections.
No, I love it. And you're right. Like you're calling it the R factor. It's like having all these components. And, I like to call that being in alignment. And when you're in alignment with source energy, when you're in alignment with your, how you're resonating, right? Energetically, you're right.
Yeah.
Things get so much easier. Things fall into place. You can find the evidence. It does get easier,
It does. The right people suddenly show up that you've been, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at how did this partnership happen? Or
it's
the right
exciting.
opportunities.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It
So
totally
exciting.
is. That changes everything.
Yeah. And and I think that fuels everything else, right? And so
Yes.
that allows us to be at that higher, frequency. And when we're at that higher frequency, as you know, like that's where the magic happens, right? That's where
Exactly.
the magic happens, because we can be very intentional with what our time looks like, how our relationships look like, how community looks like, how we are showing up and giving and being of service. I mean, it just all gets bundled up there. And so, but I think a lot of people struggle with, what does that really look like if they've never experienced it?
Right.
So what would you say, for someone that's just starting out, just on this pathway, and just is starting to put their little toes in and saying, I'm curious, what is this about?
And chances are they have experienced it. So, I mean, because we've all had like these like
Moments.
peak moments in our life, like, oh my God, I remember that time, right? So if we can go back to that time and kind of tune into what happened in that moment, what were you doing? What passions were you tapping into? What strengths were you tapping into? Because those moments have all kinds of clues for us, and we want to create more of those moments.
Yeah.
And so those are the sorts of things. If you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm not experiencing that, you can start there. You can go, okay, where were the moments where I've had those?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Gabby Bernstein talks about this, and this is some of her work just always is like lights me up. It is like, yes, it's the work that just makes me get so excited. But when she wrote the book Super Attractor last year, and when that launched, and she talks about choosing differently, and really looking at that vibrational emotional scale, which comes out of the art of attraction, or is it the art of attraction? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Abraham Hicks. Yeah.
Yeah. Abraham Hicks. Exactly. And so there's a spiral actually that, at the low end of the spiral, there's kind of the low vibe energies. There's the, there's the fear, there's the self-doubt, there's the judgment, there's, the comparison, all those sorts of things, kind of low energy words. And then you move up it, and you're feeling happiness, and you're feeling passion, and you're feeling, success. So higher vibration words. And you're not going to go from the lower level to, you're not going to make that big leap in okay, I'm just going to choose differently and go from here to here. That's just not going to happen. But what she talks about is, one, when you start to feel that low vibe emotion, is first of all, just notice it and name it for what it is. It's like, I'm feeling sad today, or I'm feeling angry today, whatever that is. And recognize that it's a low vibe word. And then she says to thank thank the universe for giving you
Mhm.
that awareness to be able to see that, because that's the pivotal point, right? Is to be able
Yeah.
to notice it and see it. And then choose one level up. Just go up. If you're feeling really sad, say, okay, I'm going to feel melancholy today. And I'm
Yeah.
just going to take care of myself. I'm going to be graceful about it today. And then, so you play with that scale. And I really love it because it's so practical, because we're not going to, especially in this year, right? I mean, we're not going to be on the high vibe energy every single day, because the world is crazy right now.
Right. Right.
And we're feeling that. And so acknowledging when we feel it, and then choosing a little bit differently. And then it becomes expansive every time you do that.
I love that. I love that. And that's a great reminder of
Yeah.
being where we're at. So taking note where we're at and where can we, if we were just to move that one more step or one more scale up, what would that be and
Yes.
what would it take us to, right? And then
Yes.
let's just start to see, and continue to grow up that scale until we get to a
Right.
place in space where it feels maybe more in resonance of what we're authentically feeling, right? So,
Right.
because we're
Right. And
supposed
then
to,
take the time. Take the
yeah.
time for that personal growth every day. I mean, that's where the R factor comes in, because
Mhm.
if we're just like getting up and driving and doing this stuff every day, and we're not making that space for self-care, or to
Yeah.
just to listen to the wisdom that
Yeah.
we have in us,
Yeah.
we miss a really important part of it. And I think that if we make that space,
Yeah.
it, we start showing up in different energy. And so it's a combination of those things.
Yeah, and I think especially right now because we have so much that is being shown to us at this time. And I
Mhm.
always say pen to paper, like put those thoughts
Yes.
down, pen to paper, write it out, express it, explore it,
Hmm.
and process it because it is being given to us
Yes.
for us to process in a bigger, more profound way. And so you're right. Take that time to, really explore what's coming up for each of us because it's on so many levels. I always say that it's like, individually, I have my stuff that's coming up, and then I have my family stuff, my
Hmm.
community stuff, societal stuff,
Yes.
national stuff. Like there's all these different things on low, but it's like someone like peeling the onion all at once. It's
Totally.
like, pull. And so just having grace and really looking at, where you're at and
Yeah.
where you're heading and, give yourself some grace in this process.
Totally. And I think the big transformation that comes from that, I mean, this is going back to your word transformation, right? It's like when we get in these places when it feels more difficult, whether it's our individual, our family, our community, our world, which, we're all of those right now, we're feeling that tension and that pressure. And with that comes the transformation, because
Yeah,
it activates us.
exactly. It puts us into action. It puts
Yeah.
us into doing something,
Yeah.
right?
And
That
that's where and also the big ideas come through in that pause. When we're in that tension, we have and we're feeling it, and we pause, and we, like you said, take your pen out and start journaling. That's where the best ideas are going to come from, that you never even knew that you had in you.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. This was an absolute delight to chat with you, get to know you more, and just thank you for your tools and strategies that people can start utilizing today. Cami, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you, to reach out to you and connect?
Oh, thank you so much. So the best place is to join us over on our Extraordinary Women Connect Facebook group. So that is a Facebook group that is all about connecting great women to great women. So that's a really good place. My website is camiguildner.com. And then I'm going to toss out here that my podcast is Extraordinary Women Radio. Teri's going to be on my podcast here
Yes.
very soon. So I'm super excited to have you over there. And you're going to be a speaker at my Extraordinary Women Ignite event.
I know it is exciting. It's lots of good collaboration talking about
Yes.
connecting right here. So thank you, Cami, so much. And we will just put her information down in the show notes. So take a look at that information and let's connect. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's Teri.com, to book your time.